Welcome back to the Scottish Peninsula for the Dunoon Presents Argyll Rally. We are halfway through the season in the Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship. And yesterday there was some hot action on the stages, and it was hot as well. It feels almost tropical up here in Scotland, which is very unusual, isn't it? I'll come to the leaderboard in just a second. I'm Paul Woodford. I'm delighted to be with you for this excellent championship yet again, and for a fantastic entry of cars that we have for you as well. We've got a couple of great shots here, about halfway into this 8th stage, the first of this morning, Belloc Main 2. It's a 4.41 mile blast before the crews head back into Oystercatcher for the second run through there. Then 2 runs through Glendaruel, and then the first run through Whistlefield before a service. And then it's Kilfinnan, Millhouse, Glendaruel again, and Whistlefield for the second time to finish us off before the finish back in Dunoon. Total mileage for today over the 9 stages that we have, 45.58. Overall mileage 66.74, including yesterday's leg. There was a stoppage last night for Justin Manning and Mike Motes in the Clio. Mike Motes registered the co-driver for Protyre points. The pair were airlifted, and it was a nasty smash. We haven't heard anything more on their condition, but I was told as they were taken to hospital that they were both okay. But we will, of course, update you if we get any news on that pair. We are, of course, remembering Di Roberts this weekend, the first round of the championship after the Jim Clark. And thanks to you, I have some wonderful memories to share of Di. I asked you to tell some stories about Di that I could share with everybody on the live broadcast this weekend, and I'm pleased to say I have some lovely ones. And the poem that I read out last night by Christian for Di has certainly triggered some emotion. So thank you for that, Christian. And I'll come to some of those stories and memories of the brilliant man and co-driver Di Roberts in just a short while. It was a fast night in the lanes for Sam Touzle and Max Freeman last night. The Jerseyman taking the fastest time on all of the stages last night, and there he is. Number 3 on the door. Could this be the one where he returns with number 1 on the door? He was certainly feeling it, wasn't he, when we spoke to him at the end of stage 2 last night. He's put an awful lot of preparation into this weekend. Callum Black, our reigning champion, and Matt Edwards as well, both working with Sam on notes on working through the DVD of the stages from previous years in cars. And yeah, he was fired up for this one. And I love when rally drivers come into a rally saying, I really want this. Because you know it's going to be exciting, but you also know there's real emotion in that car. And I would love to have got to service. We didn't have time this morning to have a quick chat with Sam to see how he was feeling ahead of day 2, but I reckon he will be in boisterous mood. That man there, another fast driver, not registered for Asphalt points. Will perhaps be wishing that he was. Hugh Hunter, Rob Fagg alongside in the Fiesta Rally 2, was in 2nd place overnight, 24 seconds back from Touzle, just 6 seconds ahead of the Scotsman Rory Young, with Jamie Edwards alongside in the Fabia Rally 2. Then it was Mark McCulloch and Michael Hendry in the Satria Evo, from Hugh Brunton and Richard Wardle, who started last night quick out of the blocks, 2nd overall for the first few stages, weren't they? It is very, very close though. Rory Young, Mark McCulloch, for example, on exactly the same time overnight. Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark were cautious last night. That was Jason's words. He's also posted on his social media to say that he's done some setup changes to the car, hoping that they work this morning. So clearly didn't quite have the confidence in the Yaris Rally 2 on these technical, fast and bumpy lanes. There was Rory Young, Jamie Edwards. Switching to the Skoda Fabia. Clearly it's working well for them. So we're expecting big things from Jason Pritchard and Phil Clark, and that's what I'd be saying to him if I was speaking to him before the stage this morning as well. Ian Forgan and Chris Lees had a good night as well. 7th overall. A little way back from Pritchard. And then Brad Cole, Jamie Vaughan. Definitely getting to grips, aren't they, with that Fiesta Rally 2. 8th place overall overnight, ahead of our fastest two-wheel drive car, Hugh James, Lewis Sim. 9th overall, rounding out the top 10, David Crossan, Ben Teggett. A fast couple of escorts there. Making it into the top 10 overnight. Here is Mark McCulloch. Michael Hendry alongside in that beautiful former S2000 spec Proton Satria Evo. I love that we get people out in those Evos, those Proton Satria Evos still, because they're just fabulous looking machines. And they certainly do the business, don't they? Weren't many of them made. They were built for the Intercontinental Rally Challenge. S2000 category, if you remember that. Fairly short-lived as a category, but many of the cars live on, either rallying in Europe in S2000 spec or rallying over here with 2-litre turbo engines in them. The cars reseeded overnight into the order in which they finished yesterday's first leg. There's Hugh Brunton, Richard Wardle. It's a great lead for Sam to have overnight, isn't it? 24 seconds. Comes here 3rd overall in the championship standings, equal on points with Neil Roskell. And, of course, withdrew his entry after the first couple of stages last year, just wasn't feeling it. Things weren't right in the car. It takes a lot of maturity to know that. Pritchard there in the North Road Garage. Yaris Rally 2 still seemed a little cautious, didn't he? The car was, I say it was bottoming out. I think it was the bumper at the front. There's big, deep bumpers on the Rally 2 Yaris. It was just catching, wasn't it, on the stage as it was coming down the hill there. Plenty of big compressions here, some of which present as jumps when you see the photos afterwards. Hugh Hunter stopped on the tracker in this Belloc Maim stage, just a little further on from where we are. We're roughly just under halfway into the stage, I think. This 4.41 mile test. I'll keep an eye on the tracker and see if Hugh gets that Fiesta Rally 2 going. That'd be rotten luck to retire so early on day 2. The PB engineering team have done a great job with their cars this weekend, and to have 2 of them up there leading the rally in the first 2 positions is fantastic for them. There's Ian Forgan, Chris Lees alongside. Do like the look of that car. It is an interesting looking Fiesta R5. I took a picture of it at the Dunoon Stadium last night. The bright blue skies behind. I've never seen weather like this in Scotland as long as we've been covering rallies here, I don't think. I think I remember going to Forest Lodge in Scotland for a British cross-country event years and years ago, Wayne. That was pretty warm, but other than that, no, never like this. It's a little bit cloudier today, a little bit cooler in the car, a little bit more pleasant for our crews, but It is still warm, and I would say more pleasantly so today. Midges have started to come out there, which is going to be a theme of the day, isn't it? Hugh Hunter, Rob Fagden still showing us stopped on the tracker here in the Belloc Mame stage. We will update you on that as soon as we get more information. Brad Cole, Jamie Vaughan in the Trick Motorsport Fiesta Rally 2. Little upgrades coming into this round. Just updating the car to a more newer spec Rally 2 in terms of the homologation parts. 47 seconds back from Ian Fogg and Chris Lees, but of course, as far as the championship is concerned, that is a good position indeed. Puts them 4th in the championship cruise. First of our Protyre championship cruise, Sam Toosler, of course. 2nd, Hugh Brunton. 3rd, Jason Pritchard. And the first two-wheel drive, Hugh James and Lewis Sim. There wasn't much touching them last night in two-wheel drive, was there? Only 12 seconds, though, ahead of David Cross and Ben Taggart, so not registered for points, but always good to see how they go. We're mixing ranks with the Asset Alliance Scottish Rally Championship and the Fuchs British Historic Rally Championship here, an all-star cast on the Scottish Peninsula, and there is the man I'm talking about, Hugh James, Lewis Sim, the ever-smiling Welshman, just inside the top 10 in 9th overall. No times yet through this stage on rallies.info. But as soon as I get some, you'll be the first to know. Here we go. Right, so David Crossan, sitting in 10th overall in the Escort. So, Sam Toosle, Max Freeman take another stage win through here. A 4 minute 11 seconds for them through this 8th stage, the first of today, Belloc Mame. Rory Young, Jamie Edwards, 2nd fastest, 4 minutes 12, just a second behind. 3rd fastest was Jason Pritchard and Phil Clark, so they are starting to pull back some of that pace, aren't they, that they lost last night, being a little too cautious and perhaps not quite confident enough in the setup of the Yaris. Hugh Brunton, Richard Wardle continue to be on the pace in 4th, 4:18 from them, 7 seconds off the fastest time from Sam Toosle. Then Mark McCulloch, Michael Henry of 4:19, just a further second behind. There's Willie Patterson, Tom Hind alongside, finished 16th overall in the Evo on last year's Argyll Rally. '11th overall overnight here, just 3 seconds behind David Cross and Ben Taggart. They've done a big charge to try and overhaul that Mark II, but they've got Joe McCand and Charlotte McDowell only 5 seconds behind them. It's very tight, just outside the top 10. Orin McDonald, Claire Fraser in the Evo 8, 4 seconds behind. Then Johnny McKay, Richard Crozier, who looked very chilled, I have to say, coming out of the first couple of stages last night, both of them. 5 seconds behind. Robert Adamson, Harry Stubbs in 15th is 3 seconds behind. You get the idea. No really big gaps outside of the top 10. There's Joe McKend, Charlotte McDowell. I'm hearing that Hugh Hunter is a little way off the road. He can't be seen from the road, so he has gone off in this stage, not just stopped, as the tracker shows. I will update you when we get any news on that. Thank you to Craig Smith for the update. A couple of people messaged me to say that Justin Manning and Mike Motes are in inverted commas, okay. They did go to hospital last night, but nothing too drastic is what I'm being told. Which is great news, isn't it? Car 34 last night going off in stage 3 on one of the compressions I mentioned earlier. Car was a bit of a mess. Worrying. Bit of time for the crews behind as well. There is Ori McDonald, Claire Fraser in the Evo 8. And that battle for the positions just outside the top 10, aren't they? So it's a 4 minutes 11 seconds, the time that Sam Tousell and Max Freeman have posted through here. Keeping hold of their clean sheet so far of stage wins on this year's Danone Presents Argyll Rally to maintain their lead of the rally as well. Some performance from the Jerseyman so far on a rally that he came looking to really make his mark. He's won the Jersey Rally, his home rally, but wants to get the first overall win off the rock. Could this be it? Lovely bit of anti-lag on that Evo of Johnny McKay, Richard Crozier. They came 18th overall last year. Sam Tousell, Max Freeman have extended their lead to 31 seconds, but with Hugh Hunter and Rob Fagg off the road in this stage, that lead is now over Rory Young, Jamie Edwards in the Skoda Fabia RS Rally 2. Puts the Proton Satria Evo of Mark McCulloch and Michael Hendry into a podium position as well. Just 7 seconds behind Rory. Big push on there. There's Robert Adamson, Harry Stubbs alongside. It's a nice moment when Harry paid tribute to got him into rallying in Forester last night. I will read out some of your tributes to Di Roberts in a few moments as well. We don't have that many gaps in the action so far, do we? If you're just tuning in, welcome to the Danone Presents Argyll Rally. As we reach the midway point in the Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship. Will Rowlands, Emir Hall in the Mark II. Last did this event in 2021 when they took a top 20 result in the escort. First in the class with that, as you might expect. '16th overall. Overnight second in the class. Rowlands and Hall just ahead of Roger Henderson, Tommy Henderson, who last time out hit a deer, going absolutely flat chat. The PB engineering team rebuilding the cooling pack on the front of the car and actually getting the car back out for day 2, which was an incredible feat, but it's still sporting the same bumper. And honestly, you wouldn't know. There you go. Roger and Tommy Henderson, 17th overall, 10th in the class in that Fiesta Rally 2. Overnight, just 6 seconds behind Will Rowlands and Emir Hall, but more crucially, I suppose, keeping an eye on their rearview mirror, metaphorically speaking, because Richard Clues and Carl Williamson are breathing down their necks. 2 seconds behind, but they can't ease up at all either, because John Stone and Keir Beaton in the Polo R5 GTI are just a second further back. And then Nathan Evans, Rhys Edwards in the Renault Clio 3 RS. Same story there, 2 seconds behind. Michael Harbour, Cameron Dunn, using his Sunday name there in the Fiesta R5. Mixed 2 seconds back from Nathan Evans. It is so close. And as if to prove the point, Ross Jarrett, Stephen Brown are on exactly the same time. Back in 22nd. There's Richard Clues and Carl Williamson in the car that Mark Higgins drove, didn't he? Expecting them to have a pretty good run this weekend, actually. Only rally that Richard did last year was Rally Ceredigion. He's a very brave man in what looks like a beach towel and a Zimmer frame with an engine on it in the sky above us. I think they call them paragliders, do they? But it looks, it's like a microlight thing. It looks terrifying. Almost as terrifying as the pictures of one of the tests for tomorrow's Rally Protyre that Nightingale Media's John sent me this morning. Jumps everywhere. I'm not even kidding. There's Darrell Taylor Catland. Pretty decent night for them last night. Although I know I say that, can I find them on last night's results? Bizarrely, no. Darrell needs some points on the board. Didn't finish the Manx. Was 26th. In the opening round, these riding stages, 18th. Last time out on the Jim Clark. Nathan Bolton, Phil Kenny there. They need some points on the board as well. Didn't join us last time out. No, they did, didn't they? They were super rallying both at the Jim Clark and on the Manx. Switching from the Evo 9 last year into the Rally 2 car this year. I'm going to read you a memory about Di Roberts from the man who comes here leading the Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship, Jason Pritchard. He said a couple of stories that will always stand out for him. His first ever win on Epint was with Di on the mini Epint stages in 2010, 15 years ago. Growing up watching my dad win on the stages, this will always be a special memory for me. This is Jason Pritchard talking. You see Nathan Evans in the Clio. Ypres in 2011, Di jumped in with me, and Dale, as Di was sitting with Johnny Greer. I retired after an off, which had actually broken my collarbone and my wrist in 2 places, which I didn't realise till a few days later. I decided to stay and watch the second day. Plus, there was an after-rally party. I wanted to stay for that, and boy, was it a party. Myself and Dale ended up staying in Johnny and Di's room, and I'll never forget trying to get Di up the following morning. The journey home was one of the hardest drives I've ever done, in what felt like 100 degrees. Di slept most of the way, waking up about 20 minutes from Bilth. Having not competed for over 12 months, Di was the first to message before the rally to see if I was okay on this year's East Riding stages and send him any advice that he had. Something I'm really going to miss when I'm in Drifak, walking Bruce, and the car stops by the side of me. And it's Di. Half an hour later, we're still there just chatting. This happened on several occasions. Di was a true friend who always put others before himself. The words of Jason Pritchard, our championship leader in the Yaris Rally 2 here in the Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship, and a man who took his first win with Di Roberts alongside. We saw Mick Harbour just coming through the stage there. Really good looking wrap on that Fiesta R5. But as James Dixon Joel from Service and Sports said to me yesterday, the wraps look great. It's like an arms race. So you can come up with the most fabulous looking rally car at the moment, isn't it? Which we're really enjoying, but very expensive stickers if you just so much as catch something, because you've got to replace a whole section. Touch-up pen just won't do. Very good point. But they do look awesome, don't they? There's Ross Jarrett, Stevie Brown alongside. 30th overall in last year's Argyll Rally. Came into today 22nd overall, second in the class on equal time to Cameron Dunn in the Fiesta R5, the green one that you just saw through before that. They've only got 8 seconds behind them to David White and Paula Hannon, actually. There is David White. The anti-lag on that Fiesta R5 just echoing through the hills here. Neil James sent me a few memories of Di as well. Di had heard of my son's hybrid gearbox and rang me wanting to buy one. The only donor box we could find was in Javakshala, I think that's pronounced. No problem, contacted my good friend Timo Pinomaki. The box was the right one, checked by Timo's father and brother. He had it sent to him on the bus to his workshop. I sent him a detailed PDF of how to strip it, and he sent the crown wheel and pinion to us in Daventry. It arrived on a Thursday afternoon. As soon as my son Gareth was home, it was built, with Di already on his way up to collect it from his house. On the Jersey Rally, he was continually breaking shafts, an animal of a driver on the box. In one service, we changed both shafts in 11 minutes, sorted the rest of the car. He also has the handbrake award as well. Whatever that means. It was a close tie-up with the James family, with my brother mapping his engine, me doing the rear beam, and my son doing the box. Zincar of Di with Dan Petrie from the event, and Di's word about the box. Effing mint. Gar. Words of Neil James about Di Roberts. There's Paul Thompson and Josh Davison just past us on the stage. The picture I've just been sent of the last car to go off where Hugh Hunter and Rob Fagg has gone off. Looks like a scene out of Dukes of Hazzard. Thanks, Craig Smith. Hopefully Hugh and Rob are okay. As you see, Baz Wheeler, Richard Wise. There's a very good-looking Mark II, isn't it? One of the Fuchs British Historic Rally Championship crews joining us here on the Dunoon Presents Argyll Rally in 2025. Matt Godfrey sent me this. A very fond memory of when I first met Di. He came over to Jersey to compete in the Jersey Rally. We had some issues with our car during service, and he kindly lent us a set of drive shafts to keep us in the rally. He won the class that year and the handbrake trophy. Talented driver and navigator, very kind-hearted and a genuine bloke. Be sadly missed by me and everybody who knew him. Thank you, Matt Godfrey, for sending that in. Sun just starting to come out from behind the clouds. It feels like it's going to be a warm day after all, Wayne. We've got our sun cream on ready just in case. Never had to really worry about that in Scotland before. Brett McKenzie, Barry Young with 26th overall overnight. And in a real fight as well with the two Mark IIs either side of them. Just a second behind Baz Wheeler, and on an identical overall time to Jake Briggs and Harry Walshaw. It's going to be a pretty changeable leaderboard, I think, as we go through this second day, which isn't always the case, is it? Not many very big gaps in the overall leaderboard at all, and the class results as well. Really tight. There is Jake Briggs, Harry Walshaw alongside. Puff of tyre smoke there, just locking up the inside wheel on that little crest. Fast bit of stage, this. We were pretty busy last night in the town centre. If you joined us, you would have seen it. It was what would I call it? Pleasing chaos. So I didn't get a chance to join you guys on the stream. Kev Photo is missing the live sound of rally cars. Must get the cameras out soon. Work's been so busy. Sandra and Elliot Murray asking if drones are allowed. They're not, unless they're accredited. That one that you hear and see is not ours. It's Max Murray, first of our Manx drivers here in the Protyre Championship. Starting to get to grips with that car now, isn't he? Matthew Owen alongside, Matty Owen. Give him his Sunday name as well. Of course, they were in the Citroen C2 before. It's a bit of time to get used to that DS3 R3T. 9 seconds behind Jake Briggs, and again an identical time to Jake Smith and Dave Tortoshell, who you were about to see through the stage. Jake was really enjoying his adventure. 29th overall, 4th in the class coming into today. Chasing that DS3 down. Stephen Cox is watching from sunny Bournemouth. But it's not as sunny as Scotland. It's not often I can say that. Hello to Nick Van Dyke. Nick Hartley, to give him his Sunday name. Stan Quirk is watching. Hello to you. Cammy Austin. Duncan Brown watching from, just checking, he says, South London. Rue Campbell says it's Johnny's birthday today. Johnny is in Johnny McKay, do we think? Happy birthday, Johnny, whichever Johnny we're talking about there. Bob Wiggins watching from sunny Amsterdam this morning. It's a very nice place to be in the world. Hello to Jock Dean, Michael Lawson. Good to have you all with us this morning. Let us know where you're watching from. And don't forget, if you comment or get involved at all in our live streams, you go in the draw to win one of our Money Can't Buy Rallying is Life Lombard RAC themed hats. Give one away on every single live stream this year, thanks to Rallying is Life. And Stephen Street and Robert Wood didn't finish last year's Argyll Rally. We'll be looking to put that behind them this weekend. Third in the class from 30th on the overall leaderboard, just 4 seconds back from Jake Smith and Dave Tortoshell in that Mark II. Josh Evans, Paddy Heffernan in the Renault Clio 4 will be up next. They're in a battle for class honours, 5th in class, 31st on the overall leaderboard, 7 seconds behind the Mark II ahead of them, but a fair way back from the next Class 5 car, which was Richard Clues and Carl Williamson, wasn't it? In 18th. Josh and Paddy driving a similar Renault Clio 4 to the one that Justin Manning and Mike Motes went off in last night. Andrew Forbes, Alex Hill were having a good run last night in their Honda Civic. 32nd on the overall leaderboard, 4th in the class, and just 4 seconds behind the Renault Clio ahead of them. 5 seconds ahead of Alan Scott and Shayna Archibald in the MGZR. You'll see the Opel Adam R2 of Luke Constantine and Ivan Devine very shortly. They had a good night as well. Second in the class, 37th overall. And in a real tussle. That Civic still sporting some damage from a roll on the space side, I think it was. But a clean run so far this weekend for Andrew and Alex. Sam Touzle then takes another stage win on stage 9. He's absolutely on fire, isn't he, today? Oyster Catcher is up next after this one. Then 2 stages through, Glenda Rule. Sam Touzle, another stage win, an identical time to Rory Young and Jamie Edwards through that one as well. So those two really getting the hammer down, and we'll be hoping to claw back some of that advantage that Touzle has out in the lead and get into a fight by the end of the day, no doubt, with pace like that. There's Alan Scott and Shayna Archibald, another crew who didn't finish last year's Argyll rally and would quite like to get a finish notched up here in Scotland this year. Mark McCulloch, Michael Hendry, currently 3rd overall and putting 3rd fastest time in on the stage after this one, stage 9, a 6:27, 11 seconds slower than Sam Touzle and Max Freeman. And Hugh Brunton, Richard Wardle, currently 4th overall and 4th fastest on the next stage as well. Consistent pace from them this morning to take 2 4th fastest times on the 2 first stages of the day. But Sam Touzle, Max Freeman keep a clean sheet, winning yet another stage, albeit on an identical time to Rory Young and Jamie Edwards. Hugh Brunton took an overall identical time from yesterday, didn't he, on one of the stages as well. Stuart Irvine, Mark Irvine alongside there in the Hyundai i20 R5. 34th overall overnight, 14th in Class 1. Just 4 seconds behind the MG ZR that you just saw through as well. 6 years since that big accident here on the Argyll rally, when it was a forest rally actually. The first stage of the day, and Mark did quite a lot of damage to his spine. I think he's still got plates in it, as he was saying yesterday, so the anniversary of that accident was today, actually. Was it? No, it's Sunday. Not that we want to dwell on that. Mark Booth, Chris Wareham in that very brightly liveried Mark II. Quite like the look of that car. Last did the event in 2023. It was the 21st fastest Protyre crew in that year. Didn't do it last year, so no benchmark for times there. Doing a pretty good job last night, 5th in the class, 35th overall. But the class battle behind, just 2 seconds behind, is Alistair Waite and Kevin McIver. You see them here. Sixth in that class, 36th overall. And you should hear the revs and the bark of Luke Constantine's Opel Adam R2 coming into view in just a moment. Second in Class 8. Just 7 seconds behind the Mark II. Sam Toozle, Max Freeman then lead the way in the Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship Cruise. Coming here, third overall in the championship standings, looking for a big haul of points and looking for, he was bold enough to say it, his first outright win away from Jersey. And at the moment doing everything right. Fastest every stage of the rally so far. Jason Pritchard chasing Hugh Brunton for second in the Protyre Cruise. Brad Cole just behind them. As you see, Luke Constantine, Van Devine in the Opel Adamar 2. Hugh James, Lewis Sim, the first two-wheel drive. After this 8th stage of the rally, the first of this morning through Belloc Main. Ian Forg and Chris Lee's putting in the 4th fastest time now through stage 9. They're flying as well, aren't they? 6:21 from them. It's 5 seconds off the pace of Sam Toozle, Max Freeman, who've actually lost their clean sheet after everything I just said. Car Tour in that glorious Group A Astra. Just listen to it, popping and banging on the gear changes. It is Jason Pritchard and Phil Clark who have now found their rhythm, and they are on the pace 3 seconds quicker than Sam Toozle and Max Freeman through the 9th stage of the day. That clean sheet is gone. Well, let's be honest. The rally win is what he came here for, and he still has the lead. What does that do for Sam Toozle's lead then? 31 seconds now, the gap to Rory Young, Jamie Edwards. That's stayed fairly consistent with the pace, very similar between the two drivers. But Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark are now on the move. 3rd place overall, 11 seconds behind Hugh Brunton. And that was your best presented car of the rally, as elected by our championship scrutineer, Jeff Doe. Great to see Jeff and Ruth out here in the Argyll. Saw them last in Barbados. Bryn Jones, Richard, Brian Jones, the Road Rally Escort, took 3rd in class coming into this in the championship standings, and takes the best presented car home. It really is glorious as well, isn't it? Bryn, a road rally man at heart, did one stage event back in 2002, the Peter Lloyd stages in the Peugeot 205 GTI. Then came back out for a couple of single venues in 2024. But this year, he's already done the Manx, the Jim Clark, and now this, the Danone Presents Argyll Rally, midlife crisis rallying or what. Love it. He's gone big in 2025, as has this man, this Group A Mitsubishi Galant, the car that was built by Wayne Sisson's team to exacting Group A standards. It is absolutely beautiful. I have put a very detailed selection of photos of the car, really nerdy post on Facebook this morning. So if you are interested in seeing that Group A Mitsubishi Galant a little closer, do check that out. Leading the Historics overnight. Looking for another maximum points finish is Baz towards his championship. Howell Jenkins alongside in the Mitsubishi Galant Group A. Just 4 seconds behind that Road Rally Escort of Bryn Jones, who would have got on famously in the dark last night on those lanes. Road Rally drivers like to do it in the dark, as I put to Bryn last night, and he said, yeah, but this time I'll do it with my clothes on. Actual quote. I suppose I asked for it, really. Andrew Blackwood, Lisa Watson alongside in the Fiesta. Leading Class 9 overnight. Just 2 seconds behind the Group A Galant as well. 3 seconds ahead of John Rintoul and Ross Hind in possibly the most gloriously prepared Mark II I've seen in a long time. Not possibly, absolutely. It certainly garnered a lot of attention in the service area last night. There it is. It's a nice looking thing, isn't it? And that Castrol livery. 5th in the class. 42nd overall overnight. They were 14th in the class. 69th overall in 2024. Was in a C3 Rally 2 last year, you may remember. Switching to that beautifully prepared Mark II for 2025. Taking a similar direction of travel to David Henderson, who switched from the Rally 2 Fiesta into a historic Mark II, didn't he? Always interesting seeing drivers do that, especially when they make a successful job of it. Chris Thompson, Mark Mason come here. 5th in Class C in the championship, 9th in the Escort Challenge, 44th in the overall standings. Only joined us for the Jim Clark and did Super Rally, so need some points on the board. But on for a decent class finish if they can get some. Last did the Argyll in 2023. And they also were the Northern Historic class champions. Sorry, Northern Historic Tarmac champion, weren't they? Took 3rd in class on the Argyll in 2023, though. Currently 6th in the class here. Just a second behind John Rintoul, Ross Hind. But a fair way back from Alistair Waite and Kevin McIver, who are next in the class. Missing the Nova of Jack Edwards and Adam Burkill on the order. That's Fletcher, Faulkner, Ian Murray in the Pirelli-sponsored Ford Fiesta ST 150. Class 6 and 7 car in a battle with Paul Collins, Thomas Wilson in the Mark II, who are just 5 seconds behind them on the leaderboard. Whacked away the midges as it warms up here. You struggling with midges, Wayne?
Not yet.
Not yet, he says. I do hope we still have that Protyre registered Vauxhall Nova to look forward to. There's Paul Collins, Thomas Wilson. Should have had Jack Edwards and Adam Burkill through by now. They were 2nd in the class overnight. And lots of tyre screeching going on just round the bend. And some of those compressions as the car gets light. I was talking to Jason Pritchard and he was telling me on some of the corners you commit and you're over in the air sideways and you just have to keep going. Oliver Waggett, happy birthday to the man who celebrates his 18th birthday here today. Chris Pattinson alongside. First senior year. Last year after the Scottish Juniors, and now in the Mini Rally Challenge car. In the R53, you could hear the supercharger winding itself through these Scottish roads on the Argyll. Can't think of a better way to be celebrating your 18th birthday, if I'm honest.
Jack and Adam are in the fireman first, apparently.
Yeah, Jack and Adam in the Nova have retired, unfortunately. It was a good performance from them overnight. The Mould Garage sponsored Nova. Desperately disappointed for them. Try and get the story on that one. There's Nick Kitching with Josh Carr alongside. 6th in the class, 48th overall overnight. Let's check back in on those overall results. At the top of the leaderboard. Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark really are on a charge now. The Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship leaderboard looks like this then. Sam Toozle, Max Freeman in first place. Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark coming here as championship leaders will still lead the championship if things end up this way. As you see Lee Ashbury in that glorious Monty arched Escort, the Russell Brooks car. Says on the door, sponsor Andrews Heat for Hire. Never gets old opening that door. He's definitely channeling Russell Brooks last night in the lanes, wasn't he? Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark, second in our championship crews at the moment. That's Hugh Brunton and Richard Wardle in third. Brad Cole, Jamie Vaughan in fourth. And then fifth, the flying Mark II of Hugh James and Lewis Sim. Very much picking up where Darren Atkinson left off in the Escort, isn't he? The former B13 class, now class 3. Giant killing performances from the Welshman. The hills are definitely alive with the sound of rally cars this morning, that is for sure. What a sight that is, and being absolutely manhandled around this stage as well. John Marshall, Craig Wallace in the new to them BMW M3, one of the new crop of historic spec, European historic spec, I'm going to say. That's got Polish plates on that car, but it's a guy in, we think it's a guy in Holland that builds them. Wayne and I were discussing this last night. It's beautiful. Darryl Taylor was very taken. He's just bought one of the Pro Drive cars. Having a good look around that one in service. And I'm not sure if he was serious or not, but he said he just bought it. 5 seconds behind Ashbury in the Escort. A couple of very iconic cars going wheel to wheel, metaphorically speaking, in opposing historic classes. Peter O'Neill, Elide Williamson in the Nova there. Just a second behind the glorious BMW M3. That'd be quite a coup, wouldn't it? But they've got to concentrate on the car behind them because class honours are at stake. Currently they're third in a podium position in the class, but by only 4 seconds. Matthew Uden, Ross Bell in the Citroën Saxo doing their second ever rally. Their first ever rally was when they joined us last year for the Danone Presents Argyll Rally. Here they are doing rally number 2, a year on in the Saxo. And they're currently battling for a podium position in Class 8. Just 4 seconds splitting the Nova and the Saxo at this point. A car I'm really looking forward to seeing on the stages today is the Vauxhall Forenza of Keith Robertson and Ian Nicol. But before we get there, really using the diff on that little Saxo there. Matthew Uden, Ross Bell, Second rally for them going well. We should have Charlie Knight and Lawrence Knight as well in the little Suzuki Swift GTI. The Class 9 1300 car. Currently third place for them in the class as well on the overall results. No Swift just yet, but there is the Firenze that I was talking about. Leading H2, H3, H4 at the moment, overnight. And going well, wasn't he? Not hanging about at all. What a glorious car. Really does look the business up close as well. Another lovely historic car coming into view in just a moment, I think, will be Stephen Hall and Aggie Foster. The car's reseeded overnight into the position order in case you've got an entry list in front of you and you're wondering what order they're all in. Attacked by wasps now. But meanwhile, Producer Wayne's just standing there and not have any wildlife problems at all this morning. 9 stages today then, making up 43 or so miles to add to the 21 that was on the schedule last night. Not everybody got to complete those because of the incident on stage 3, of course. 16 stages in total this weekend. 66 stage miles. And that is not going back on the stage, is it? Well, we do get to see Charlie Knight and Lawrence Knight in the Suzuki Swift. But unfortunately, we're going to get a bit of a longer look at that car than we would have liked. Not in the best of places either. That car now beached. You heard it come down. They managed to slow it down enough, didn't they, when they realised it was going off. But the front of the car just caught, didn't it, on something. You heard it thump just before it came to a stop. So probably the sump guard just sort of grounding out on a bit of the undergrowth down there. There's a few tree stumps in that area, but I don't think we'll be seeing that Swift continuing in this stage. There's the lovely TR4, Stephen Hall and Aggie Foster, one of the historic rally champions, historic rally car register entries this weekend. Battle with King in the Mini. Talking about that last night. A wonderful selection of historic minis out on this event as well in the HRCR Mini Cup. And indeed, 2 of them, Andrew O'Hanlon, Shane Gamble, registered for the Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship, which I'm delighted to report on. Means we get a battle of the minis in the championship. Second of our Manx drivers then. Luke Collins, Mark Broadbent alongside in the Honda Civic. 5th in the class overnight. 5 seconds ahead of them, 5 seconds behind them, but not really anywhere close to a class battle. Or are they? I suppose Tommy Gray and Mark Pickering are not too far behind. 6 seconds behind to be exact. Just split by Sandy Arbonnet, Ian Arbonnet in the Mark II. You see them there. Got some spectator power going on here. That is quite an impressive job, I've got to say. They're going to try and get that Swift up, aren't they? Got to be quick to do it in between the 1 minute gaps they've got on the stage. Car's now at an even more acute angle than it was before. Spectators just need to be a little careful. Lots of optimism on display here. I am fairly convinced that that's all we're going to see. Come on, let's get that Swift back on the stage. Good to see a bit of spectator power, isn't it? That is a fabulous looking Mark 1. Tommy Gray and Mark Pickering had a little look around that in the service area at Dunoon Stadium yesterday afternoon. Nice relaxed day yesterday, having a little look around without the pressure of having to be anywhere. These away, I call them away day rallies, where we travel some distance and we're there for a couple of days, do present that opportunity, so you get the chance to really kind of spend some time around service, get to speak to some of the crews a bit more than you would normally. It helps with the story, but it's a nice way of doing rallying. And ordinarily, we'd all go out after the Argyll rally. It was a good night last night last year. Sinbads were in, weren't we? It was good, it was fun. I won't be doing that this year. I will be hopefully sleeping in a car with Paul Wakely, our championship coordinator, who's driving me back to West Wales to drive a DC Motorsport Puma on the Rally Protyre. Andy Scott, Ian Robertson in the Mark II. A bit of no man's land, both in the class and on the overall results at this stage. Andy and Ian. And the Swift is back on the stage. A cheer from the spectators at the top of the hill. A round of applause from those who are here to enjoy that moment. Just going to flag the cars down on the stage, I think, while the co-driver gets in the car. Just warning the car behind that the Swift is in a bit of a dodgy position while they just get sorted. Fantastic bit of spectator power, that, wasn't it? And that is why you should always have a tow hook within easy reach to be able to hand to the nearest gaggle of spectators. Well done, chaps. Good performance there. Ryan Walker in the MG3 is fourth in the class at this stage. I think that Swift might have a few problems. He maybe clonked something when it was under there. There was a bit of smoke then as it set off. But it's back running, and thanks to the spectators, we'll get to the end of the stage, and probably within allotted time as well. Smith's not actually showing on the leaderboard from last night. Bolton McDonald, Martin McCabe there. They were 9th in class. 19th in the Protyre cruise on last year's Argyll rally. Just going to give you a bit of a rundown of the classes as they stand so far. Bear in mind, some of these competitors have not yet completed this 8th stage. Baz Jordan, Arwad Jenkins lead Class H12 from John Marshall and Craig Wallace in the Mitsubishi Galant and the BMW E30 M3. 33 seconds the gap in that class. Keith Robertson, Ian Nicol lead H2, H3 and H4 in the lovely Vauxhall Forenza. Craig King, Russell Joseph behind them in the Mini. It's Chris Smith, Amy McCubbin. Had some problems with the brakes on last night's first couple of stages around the town. Presumably got them sorted because it looked to be going well there, didn't they? Took a second in class finish on last year's Argyll rally. First rally they've done this year though. Yeah, quite like to take a class podium again, wouldn't they? Given that. Andrew Blackwood, Lisa Watson in the Fiesta lead Class 9 from Charlie Knight and Lawrence Knight in the Suzuki Swift that you just saw. They'll take a tumble down that class now with the results after this stage. I'm sure Rhiann Walker in the MG3 will therefore pick up the position. James Wilson, Rebecca Wilson likewise. That's the first of the minis here. Andrew O'Hanlon, Kevin Hogan, first of the Class 9 cars registered for championship points. Craig King, Russell Joseph didn't finish. Crashed out of last year's Argyll rally, but so far in that little yellow Mini, they're going well. Alan Scott, Shayna Archibald, currently leading the MGZR in Class 8, but in terms of the championship crews, Luke Constantine, Ivan Devine are on for a class win so far. Still a fair way to go. The 8 stages after this one today to complete the Danone Presents Argyll Rally. Luke Collins, second in the championship crews in that class. And there's Anthony Jevons. Mags Kelly won the class here last time in that Fiesta R2. Sorry, no, didn't join us last time. They come here first in the class, don't they? In the championship standings. Couldn't read my own notes. All single venues for Ant Jevons until this season. Now he's done the East Riding stages, the Manx, the Jim Clark, and now this. He's going large as well in 2025, isn't he? Nathan Evans, Rhys Edwards lead the way in Class 6 and 7. Jake Briggs, Harry Walshaw behind them. Just over a minute the gap there. Hugh James Lewis still the fastest of our two-wheel drive crews in the championship and also leading Class 3. Quite convincingly, 50 seconds the gap back to Ross Jarrett and Stevie Brown. Jordan Joins quite enjoyed seeing that. And that Suzuki Swift pushed back onto the stage. Good morning to Gareth Edwards. Enjoying the coverage from Greece, getting motivation for the Sweetland time trial next weekend. Enjoy your holiday in the meanwhile, though. Ian Ross watching from a sunny, hot rallyschool.co.uk with the Rally Rides team. Good to see you guys. Good to hear from you, I mean. And I hope your customers are enjoying their day skidding around in those Subarus on the stage there. Fantastic experience. If you've not done that, we did it was the beginning of last season, which is a bit mad, isn't it? Doesn't seem that long ago, but a special stage team did a day out there at Rally Rides last year. It was brilliant fun. rallyrides.co.uk. Check them out on Facebook. Ian Ross does a great job down there. Well, I am pleased to see that little Fiesta with its colourful wheels, Dave and Jenny Robertson, is back in action. Only ever done 3 rallies, and they've all been the Argyll rally. Oof. That was very close, wasn't it? We almost saw James Wilson and Rebecca Wilson putting the MG-ZR into exactly the same bank that we saw the Swift stuck on earlier. Pushing on there. Paul Marshall's watching from Beverley, enjoying the coverage. What's the weather like back home, Paul? Gordon Scott's watching from Australia. I mean, I thought it was hot here, but I bet it's hotter where you are. And Simon Bevan's watching with us. Liam Clark as well, watching from a very hot Mallorca and enjoying the coverage. That's like me, I sit by the, if I'm ever lucky enough to be sat on a sun lounger in somewhere like Mallorca, I'd sit on a sun lounger watching rally cars. Fair play to you, Liam. We'll be back in action very soon. There's Shane Gamble, Julia Perry alongside in the first of our Protyre registered historic minis. One of the gaggle of minis doing the HRCR Mini Cup. Unfortunately, one of the number of crews that were stuck in the queue for stage 3 last night, and Justin Manning and Mike Motes went off. If you missed the update earlier, it's not much of an update, it's very unofficial, but I have heard from a couple of people that the crew are okay, in inverted commas. They were airlifted to hospital. The car was a bit of a mess, but they are okay and on the mend. But that is unofficial. Hello to Mrs. Woodford, who's tuned in, no doubt, with the boys. Jim McBain tuned in as well. Simon Bevan's watching from Brecon in Wales. And Paul Marshall confirms it's also sunny back home. That is the Peugeot 205 that we spoke to last night, Paul Clayton Vera Johnson, in his first year of rallying. And I actually overtook that car at Abingdon in the micro. On a bit of a hairy, fast left. That was a right-hander, thinking about it. So yeah, into a chicane. That was interesting. Michael Hendren was watching the live feed whilst in the first morning stage at Donegal. Hello and good luck to everyone doing the Donegal rally, for that matter. So that's some good action over there as well. There's Clive King, Anton Bird. Had a fantastic result on last year's Afternoon Presents Argyll Rally. First in the HRCR Mini Cup, second in the overall HRCR. Behind Stephen Hall and Aggie Foster, weren't they? 60th overall. We'll be looking for the same this weekend, I'm sure. Helena Harvey, did you recognise who was pulling out the Swift? He usually drives a white Fiesta R2. Do you know what? I can't see from over here who is over there. No. So you might have to put me out of my misery on that one. Although Jacob Neal did send me a video of us doing the coverage earlier, so I think he's over there somewhere, but he doesn't drive a white Fiesta R2. Jeff Hemman's watching from Chesterfield. Is it Lewis Hooper? Excellent, I didn't realise that. Love that. Fair play. One of the young stars of our sport, helping the car out of the ditch. Brilliant. Alistair Brearley, Peter Carstairs. A fairly decent result in last year's Argyll rally, and it went well for them overnight as well. I'll give you an update on the leaderboard very shortly. Gareth's with Lewis as well, his old man. Very handy that they were on that corner there, and they were in turn very handy with the tow hook, weren't they? Well done again, guys. Michael Grant, Graham Kelman. Mark Robinson's watching in... I'm not even going to try and pronounce that because I'll offend somebody. It's in West Wales, though. I recognise the name because I drove past it. Season report, marshalling on the first test on the Protyre. I've just been sent some pictures of the first test by John from Nightingale Rally Media. Oh my goodness. There are actual jumps. Wayne Goldring said it looks more like a British cross-country round. Shouldn't say things like that when my wife's watching. Has car 55 been? Stephen Street, Robert Wood. I think we've had them through, haven't we? Have we had car 55 through? Don't know if we have, you know. But there is Andrew O'Hanlon and Kevin Hogan. And the lovely historic Mini Cooper S. Probably though a little way back from Shane Gamble and Julia Perry in the Protyre Cruise. There's two minis battling it out for championship points. What's the gap there? About 42 seconds, the gap overnight coming into this. Yes, we have had car 55 through, I believe. It's David McLeod and Eamon Boyle in the Hillman Avenger. Third in the H2, H3 and H4 class overnight. Just a second behind that Class 9 Protyre Mini of Andrew O'Hanlon. Doing it for the Roots group, you could probably say. So we'll be live again this afternoon, that time for the Kilfinen stage we're doing, aren't we?
Yep.
Producer Wayne. Stage 13 this afternoon, about 2:20 Have some more of your stories about Di Roberts as well in this afternoon's show. Enjoyed reading all the stories that you've been sending across. I've got pages of them. It's Lachlan McIver, Laurie McIver alongside in the 1.6 engined Mark 6 Fiesta Z-Tech S. Going pretty well in Class 8. It's a top 10 so far in the class. 6 seconds behind the Hillman Avenger on the overall leaderboard. And as you can see on your screen, that Fiesta is off the stage. I wasn't watching that bit. Phil Bramwell just catching that. Have they got it back on?
No, it's still off.
It's a shame they were going well as well. If you are only just tuning in, Hugh Hunter and Rob Fagg are also off in this stage. There's Adrian Stewart, Cameron Stout alongside in the H1 Mini Cooper S. 4th in that class. Coming into day 2 of the Dunoon Presents Argyll Rally. The crews head from this stage, Belloc Maim into Oystercatcher. Then they head into 2 Glenda Rule stages. 4.41 miles to kick things off this morning here, and it's a almost 8-mile blast through the Oystercatcher stage, and then 2 5-mile stages through Glenda Rule. Whistlefield is 3.3 miles before service, and then it's back into the Kilfinnan stage, the just over 7-mile stage that we'll be in live this afternoon after service at 2:20. Then it's on to Millhouse, Glenda Rule and Whistlefield for the second time to finish us off this afternoon before reaching the finish. Those crews completing the full roster of stages will have done 66.74 miles in total. A fair bit of road mileage on this event, 178. Road section miles. 16 stages in total on this year's Dunoon Presents Argyll Rally. The Dunoon Presents bit, by the way, is basically the local business community here who are investing in this event. They've seen the benefits it brings to the local area, and indeed we were in the town for a meal, Paul Wakely and I, on Thursday night, and the restaurant we were in was saying that, you know, for the 2 hours that they can't open when the road's closed on the Friday night, they just make up so much business over the weekend. So the business community really getting behind this event, which is great to see. George Bryson, Jacqueline Bryson in the lovely looking Escort twin cam, the ex-Ford press car, which I recognised from the Graham Robson books, which was interesting. Sometimes I even surprised myself with my rally nerdery. Still sounds like that Lotus twin cam has got a bit of a misfire, doesn't it? They were struggling with that in the first couple of stages last night, actually. 4th in the class. Overnight. So Daryl Taylor and Kat Lund must have had some kind of problem. We've already seen them come through. Likewise, Robin Shuttleworth, Malcolm Smithson. 82nd overall for Daryl Taylor. I'm not sure what's gone on there. Haven't got any updates for you, I'm afraid. There's Stephen Black and Ian McRae in the Peugeot 205 GTI. Pushing hard now for a top 10 in the class, currently 13th and a little way off as things stand. Time's just coming in actually for stage 10. Some interesting swapping of stage times among our rally leaders. As you see, Chris Shields and Neil McDonald in the Nova. So Rory Young and Jamie Edwards have taken the fastest stage time through stage 10. 4:13, just a second behind Sam Toozle, Max Freeman, second fastest. Hugh Brunton, Richard Wardle still on the pace after last night. It's going to be an interesting battle this afternoon. They're third fastest through stage 10. Fourth fastest, the man who took the stage win on stage 9, the one after this one, Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark, still there or thereabouts. I mean, we're talking, you know, what's the difference? 3 seconds between Rory Young, Jamie Edwards and Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark. Fifth fastest, Mark McCulloch. Michael Hendry, 7 seconds back on that 10th stage. Consistent pace from them, fifth fastest on all of today's 3 stages so far. And what does all of that mean for our overall leaderboard? I'll tell you what, it is going to be a fairly close finish, but not as things stand for Sam Toozle and Max Freeman, who are managing things out there in the lead of the rally. "30 seconds now at the lead. But Rory Young, Jamie Edwards are keeping them within their sights, aren't they? So it's not done just yet. Jason Pritchard, Phil Clark, a further 14 back. Mark McCulloch, Michael Hendry, then 11 back. Hugh Brent and Richard Wardle just a second back. You see Paul Holmes and Elizabeth Beasley being followed through the stage by a very slow Mini with its hazards on. Harvey Stevens and Lawrence Sally. Disappointing for them, the car that finished second in the HRCR Mini Cup on last year's Argyll rally. So in terms of the Protyre crews, Sam Toozle, Max Freeman currently in the maximum points paying position. Jason Pritchard and Phil Clark in second. Then it's Hugh Brunt and Richard Wardle in third, with Brad Cole and Jamie Vaughan in fourth, and closing that gap as well, Hugh James, Lewis Sim still, of course, lead our two-wheel drive charge. And that is some performance from them as well. Eighth overall for the Welsh Escort. And of course, with that leading the class. So that's it from the first stage of today. The last time we'll visit Belloc Main. We'll be back live with you at 2:20 this afternoon for the Kilforden stage. And we'll see if Sam Toozle and Max Freeman can hold on to that quite commanding lead they have out in front of this event and for the Protyre Motorsport UK Asphalt Rally Championship. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back with you this afternoon.